Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Meet the Underwriters webinar. I'm your host, Sherry Branson. I'm now joined by my team of underwriters. Good afternoon, underwriters. How are you? Hey, hey, and Kevin Davis. Kevin is there too. Good afternoon, Kevin.
Here I am. How you doing?
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Oh,
How are you?
doing good, doing good. I'm in the
Good.
same room with everybody else. You just can't see me.
Oh, there you are. Okay, you're off to the right. Okay. Okay, great. Awesome. Well, great. Well, Kevin, today we're doing our big annual event, our Meet the Underwriters. And so the brokers that are joining us today are going to get to hear them answer all the questions that they've had throughout the year, which is a nice treat.
Yeah. Look forward to it. I like this time of year. Get a chance to really, the underwriters to kind of introduce themselves, let people know who they really are, and that they are real people.
Yeah, exactly. They're real people, not just an email or a voice on the phone. Exactly, exactly. And it's summertime, so summer's in full swing. It's nice weather out there. And Kevin, we're going to start out with our underwriter, Leslie. And I think Leslie's sitting next to you. Good afternoon. Hi, Leslie. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you. Good. Thanks for joining us today.
Sure.
Leslie, could you tell everybody who's joining us how long you've been with the company?
It'll be 2 years in November.
Okay, so you're coming up on a 2-year anniversary. That's great. And what territory do you have, Leslie?
The Southeast region, so some of the states are North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee.
Okay, the Southeast. That's great. A different time zone, but I'm sure that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. They stop emailing later.
Makes the mornings busy and the afternoons quiet. Great. And Leslie, what do you like to do for fun in your spare time, when you're not working?
Yeah, for fun, I like to get out into nature, go camping, hiking, backpacking. I went to Utah and this year as recently.
Oh, okay. Where did you go hiking in Utah?
In Utah, well, there's 5 big national parks there. I went to the Arches and Canyonlands and to Zion.
Oh, I've heard they're beautiful. I've heard great things about Zion.
Yeah,
oh,
it's
wow.
great.
That's a nice hobby to have, get out in nature.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Really nice.
And Leslie, with all your brokers, I know you've got a big part of the country. I'm sure there are questions that pop up all the time. Is there a particular question you'd like Kevin to answer?
Yeah, I get questions about why our D&O premiums are higher than some of the competitors.
That's a good one.
And that is probably the #1 question that all the underwriters get. Right, guys? Yes, that's it. Okay. Really, there's 3 answers to that. Number 1 is coverage. When we talk about the D&O for community associations, the most important thing is the coverage that we provide. And when we talk about coverage, we're talking about not only just things like our broad name insured, which includes committee members, board members, all volunteers, and a property manager. But what we're talking about is the lack of exclusions. When you look at a D&O policy, the key to a D&O policy is what is not covered. So if you have an insured versus insured exclusion, or noise pollution exclusion, or breach of contract exclusion or discrimination, then you're looking at a D&O policy that's nowhere near it's going to do the job that you need to be done. So we're looking at coverage. Our policy right now is comprehensive enough to provide the coverage you need if you're a nonprofit condominium board of directors. Second reason is claims handling. Our claims handling is superior. 15 years, the Travelers Claims people have been handling D&O claims for community associations. They know it. They understand it. They have one particular job to get in there, to kind of solve the problem and get out of there without really damaging the community itself. Because a lot of these situations where you have individuals who live there who continue to gripe and complain about different things, and they always are willing to sue or file a claim. When we get in there, we want to find what these individuals are, to kind of solve the problem without it really blowing up to something big. But one of the key differences for us is that we specialize in community associations. My first condo D&O was 35 years ago. And when I wrote that account, nobody even knew what a condominium was. 35 years later, there are about 300,000 community associations out there. We write about 30,000 in our office. So we believe right now that what we do is so unique in a sense that we do understand what community associations are. We do have the broadest contract out there, and the claims handling is far superior. So those reasons alone, we think it's worth a little bit, a couple extra dollars more than our competitors. How's that?
Great answer.
You like that?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Very good answer. Thank you, Kevin. And we also have the service which we're going to talk about a little later of the free risk management helpline, which is a very unique service that we have as well. Thank you, Kevin. And thank you, Leslie. And now we move on to Lisa.
Hi, Sherry.
Hi, Lisa. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you.
Good.
Thanks for being with us today.
Sure.
Sure. And Lisa, how long have you been with the company?
Just a little over 10 years now.
Okay, 10 years, so over a decade. Wow. That's a big anniversary. And what territory do you cover, Lisa?
California, Alaska, Virgin Islands, Oregon, and Washington.
Ah, okay. So that's quite a big area, and it's all over from Alaska, from cold weather to the Virgin Islands. So you've got quite a stretch there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there's a trade show in the Virgin Islands we can go to at some point, or
We'll have to talk to Kevin about that.
exactly.
What about that trade show in Alaska? I don't hear anything about that.
We'll pass on that one, Kevin. We'll pass on that one.
Yeah.
And Lisa, now can you share something about yourself that people may not know, something personal?
No, I like to spend time with my family and friends, and just started going to some jazz festival concerts out in wherever they're at, the beach, the park. So I'm liking that. Enjoying being out in the sun.
You like the outdoor music, the outdoor concerts.
Yeah,
that's nice. I love outdoor music too. It's really relaxing. It's nicer outside. It's just
it is.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. And Lisa, you deal with a lot of brokers, so I'm sure there's a question you have for Kevin today.
Yes. One question is, what is considered a claim under our D&O policy? Kevin, back to you.
All right. All right. We talk about a claim under a D&O policy, okay? What we're talking about is, the most important is a demand for monetary or non-monetary relief. Whenever we talk about D&O, that is the most important part. Because when you talk about a claim, most of the time, if you're talking about general liability, if you're talking about any other liability claim, you're suing for damages. There are damages, and you want to be covered for damages. In community association, there are usually no damages. It's usually about, I would have the right to park my car, I want the right to have a pet, I want to have the right to paint my house whatever color, I want to have a screen door, I want to do whatever I want to do because I bought the house and it is mine. That is a typical D&O claim. Most D&O policies out there, you have to put monetary and non-monetary coverages on there. Most of them do not have that. They just have the one, monetary losses only. So when we talk about coverages, the main thing you need to worry about is monetary versus non-monetary. That is the definition of the claim. The second thing is the lawsuit itself. The lawsuit is also a claim. So you have a written demand for monetary and non-monetary, the actual lawsuit itself, talking about criminal proceedings. These are all lawsuits, these are all claims covered under D&O policy for community associations. The most important one is a non-monetary damage claims, because you'll see most of your claims for D&O for non-monetary damages, meaning I want to have the right to do what I want to do because I've been living here and who are you telling me I can't do it. That's your number one claim. How's that? You like that?
Good answer.
Okay.
And Kevin, I'm just curious, you're talking about D&O claims. How do we know it's a real D&O claim and not just a complaint? How do we know this is a claim?
All right. It's very important to know that if the claim, a D&O claim has to be reported during the policy period. It's called a claims made and reported policy. So if you have something in writing, okay, you can have people who are upset because they want to have a pet and they're not allowed to have a pet. I have a comfort pet in my community association unit. I have a dog. Association said I can't have a dog. All of a sudden, I want to put a claim against that board of directors. The problem is is that once I put that thing in writing saying that I am being mistreated, I am being treated unfairly, I'm being discriminated against, that is a claim. Most people think that the lawsuit is a claim, but it's that written demand. Once I put that in writing and give it to the board of directors, it's a claim. The biggest problem we have for declinations is late reporting of that claim. So to avoid any late reporting responsibilities, as soon as you get that letter, in writing saying, please stop, put us on notice, and then you'll be better off in the long run.
Mm-hmm. So report it as soon as you think it's a claim. Report it. Better to be safe than sorry. Okay. Thank you, Kevin. Great answer. Thank you for explaining that. And now we move on to our next underwriter, Ashton Pat.
Hello, everybody.
Hi. This is Ashton. Everybody out there joining us. And Ashton, what territory do you cover?
I cover some parts of Florida.
Oh, Florida. Okay, the Sunshine State. And how long have you been with Kevin?
I've been with Kevin Davis for a little less than a year. Excuse me.
A little less than a year. Okay, great. And what do you like to do for fun? What do you like to do outside of work?
Well, outside of work, I like to get outside of work. You know, I like to play basketball with a couple of friends, either indoors or outdoors. That's always a good time. Yeah.
And I heard that you're a fan of an LA team.
Yeah, you heard correct. The Clippers.
The Clippers. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We have a Clippers fan. So am I. I'm a Clippers fan too. They're a great team. That's awesome. Great. Now, Ashton, I'm sure, in the almost year that you've been there, some questions have popped up along the way. What would you like to ask Kevin?
Well, I get a lot of questions about what will be picked up as a claim under our policy. So with that, maybe Kevin can better explain some of the most common D&O claims that we get.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Big hands. Basketball players have big hands. You have big hands?
No, I got a little tiny
hands. Ain't not that tall either. All right. I'm going to play basketball with you then.
All right, whenever you're ready.
Okay, so what we're talking about now is the top D&O claims out there for community associations. And we talk about D&O claims. Remember, we're talking about claims about the right to do something. So the number one claim we're going to see is breach of fiduciary duty. That is it by far. Whenever there's a claim, a D&O claim, most of the times they're going to sue the board or claim against the board because they believe the board breached their fiduciary responsibility. Now, all board members who serve on a condominium board have a fiduciary responsibility to maintain the business. If you have a 10-unit condo and it's $100,000 per unit, that is a $1 million, easy math that way, $1 million building. They're responsible for $1 million asset, okay? That's their job. The problem is most condominium board members don't realize that's their job. So whenever there's a problem because they haven't budgeted properly, because they haven't hired the right contractors, because they haven't set the pool hours correctly, then they can be sued for it, and be sued for breach of fiduciary duty. They have a fiduciary responsibility to maintain the common areas. When they don't do it, they're being sued. So breach of fiduciary duty is number one. This number two, the second one, is a violation or violation of the documents. Okay, the documents are the rules and regulations of the community association. They call it the CC&Rs, conditions, restrictions, and rules. CC&Rs. No, don't know what it means. But those are the rules of the community association. Whenever there's a breach of those rules, whenever somebody says that I believe this rule is discriminatory, unconstitutional, unreasonable, they come back after and sue for violation of CC&R. They also can sue for arbitrary enforcement of those documents too. Because what will happen is that you'll find out that there's pool hours might be put in from 12 a.m. to 12 p.m. Okay, or no swimming between 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. Well, what happens is arbitrary enforcement of those documents. They may allow Gabby over to swim constantly because Gabby is a nice person, but they may not like my buddy over here, Ashton, because Ashton plays basketball and has small hands. But what happens, though, is that you find out that boards of directors do selectively enforce the rules. And whenever selectively enforce the rules, you realize that that creates a problem later on down the line, which comes to the next one is discrimination. Discrimination is another big area for community associations. We're talking about housing discrimination, talking about employment discrimination. We also talk about discrimination in terms of the rules. Again, I can have a pet. I can have a comfort pet. But the board can say I'm not allowed to have a comfort pet. I can go after them and say your rule is unreasonable and discriminatory. Because guess what? Gabby over there has a comfort pet. And nobody's saying she can't have one. But they're picking on me. Now, that's when you have discrimination. You're locking discrimination into the rules. Another area is breach of contract. Breach of contract is one of those big areas you just see because boards of directors constantly enter into contracts with the landscaper, the roofer, the painter, management. And what they do for 6 months or 6 months, 8 months, they say, I don't like the landscaper. I don't like the roofer. I don't like the painter. You know, the landscaper's job is to come in every other week to take care of the lawn, but he stopped doing it. He didn't miss 1 week, so I'm going to cancel the contract. Now, we don't pay damages. When that person comes back and sues, breach of contract, we will defend only. We will not pay damages. And the reason why we don't pay damages is that if we start paying damage for those kind of situations, then everybody out there can decide not to honor that contract. The carrier come in and said, don't worry about it, we'll pay. So we will defend. We won't pay damages under that contract. Okay? How's that?
Makes sense.
That's good. So we talk about D&O contract. We talk about D&O claims. There's your top D&O claims. Breach of fiduciary duty, arbitrary enforcement or violation of the documents, discrimination. Employment practices. Employment practices also. If you have employees, you got to have employment practices. Is insured versus insured. When one board member sues another board member, there's a lot of them. I can be here all day long, but someone else's turn.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you very much. Thank you for explaining that. Thank you. And now we move on to our next question. We're talking to underwriter Gabby. Gabby is now joining us. She'll be here in a second. There she is. Good afternoon, Gabby. Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you. Gabby, how long have you been with the company?
I just hit my 1 year mark.
Oh,
so it was 1 year, June, this past
June. 1 year. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hey, 1 year. That's awesome. And Gabby, what territory do you have?
I have Florida.
Oh, Florida. Okay, another Florida. Okay. So I don't know if we have any brokers joining us from Florida, but this is Gabby, one of your Florida underwriters.
Yeah.
That's a great state. Hey, Florida. And Gabby, I'm sure Florida's a busy place. You have a lot of brokers, a lot of customers.
It is.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any particular questions that stand out in your mind that you'd like Kevin to talk about?
I do. And since we're touching the claim subject, I'd like to know if Kevin Davis offers any helplines or risk management for our agents or customers.
Okay. All right, move it around a little bit. Okay.
Now you're in another spot.
All right, risk management we're talking about.
Yes.
And claims. Okay, one thing we've realized over the past several years is that there are a lot of D&O claims for community associations. And the rates have gone up as a result. But one area that we decided to do is to start focusing on risk management, because that way we can lower some of our risks and limit some of our losses. So what we've done is to do several things. Number one, we have a YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel at KDIS Online has a series of risk management tools there, including our old webinars. There's articles in there. There's also videos in there of our top claim examples that we talked about earlier. So that's the number one thing we're doing. Second thing we're doing is going out and doing seminars and doing educational opportunities to property manager, boards of directors, and we realize that by doing that, it does limit some of our losses also. But something new that we have is a risk management hotline with a law firm called Cole, Scott & Cassane. It really has made a big difference for us because once you buy our policy, you have the opportunity to then go in there and to get access to this new toll-free number where you can ask interesting questions about community association, what's going on there, some kind of rules that apply to get a helpful hints. So those are kind of the areas right now we're looking at. We do believe that risk management is really important because we have to figure out a way to lessen some of the losses we've been seeing. We've been seeing more and more losses out there, and we believe risk management is the way to make a difference.
Good.
Okay?
That's a good tool we can use for our agents.
Congratulations on your first year.
Thank you.
Yes, congratulations. That's great. And the number is up on the screen, the helpline that Kevin just spoke about. It's 855-548-8656. If you'd like a copy of today's presentation, please send me an email to sbranson@kdins.com. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. And now we move on to underwriter Fernando. Good afternoon, Fernando. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. Good, thank you. Thanks for joining us today.
No problem. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Fernando, how long have you been with the company?
A little over 4 years now.
Okay, 4 years. Okay. And what territory do you have?
I primarily handle Pennsylvania and Arizona.
Okay, so the desert and then the East Coast, two different climates, totally different climates and time zones. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Come in around like 9-ish, 8:30, so I pretty much have to cater to my East Coast accounts sooner and then eventually trickle to Arizona time.
Okay, great. And what do you like to do for fun in your spare time?
I just like to take it easy. Go catch some Dodger games, watch basketball on TV, go to movies, play video games.
Great. Well, that sounds like fun. And we were talking earlier about Pokemon. That's the hot new craze. I don't think you're playing that one, but that's okay. That's safer that you're not.
Not the Pokemon Go. My phone can't take the data loss or the battery loss at the same time.
And you like basketball and baseball. So who's your favorite baseball team?
Dodgers, since it's the hometown team, and I'm more of a Laker Nation man myself.
Oh, Laker fan. Okay. Great. Well, Fernando, I'm sure you get a lot of questions from your brokers. Is there anything that in particular that you'd like to ask Kevin?
Yes. One of the more current questions I get when I do, let's say, new business is when they submit their bind request, they look for a change in their, to add a retro date or to change pending prior or continuity dates. And usually, I refer to them to our CAMP policy features that show that we have full prior acts. So the question I would have is, what's the difference between full prior acts, retroactive dates, and the pending prior or continuity litigation dates?
Okay. That is probably the number one question that we get asked more than anything else. How does this thing work? Okay, first of all, if you have a D&O policy, there are claims made and reported policy. That means a claim has to be made and reported during the policy period. So if we have a policy effective from January 1st, 2016 to January 1st, 2017, that's the only time you can submit a claim during that time period. So the question is not when the claim itself, but when the wrongful act occurred. Because whatever the wrongful act occurred, that determines if you have prior acts, retroactive date, continuity, what all those things are. So let's start with a simple act of me, of Abby is upset with me. She's the board president because I have my pet. I haven't got permission to have my pet, but I have a pet because I believe I have the right to have a pet. Gabby says I don't. She's filed a lien against me, or she fined me because I have a pet. As long as I keep the pet, she will continue to fine me. I'm now upset. I'm upset because she's treating me unfairly. She's singling me out. I think her rules are unreasonable. Okay, so now all of a sudden we have a wrongful act there. The wrongful act is me right now believing that she is discriminating against me, treating me unfairly. Now, there's no claim involved. Now the question is, if there's no prior acts coverage, that alone excludes coverage. Just the fact that I'm upset, okay? The act itself excludes coverage. So when a claim comes in, so now if a claim comes in 2 weeks ago, in between this policy period, there's no coverage if you have prior acts excluded. Now, if prior acts are included, okay, or if retro date, so you have retro date or prior acts excluded, the fact that I'm upset and ready to file a claim is not covered if you have exclude all prior acts because the act itself occurred before the policy period. The act of her telling me I was wrong is the wrongful act itself because I believe it wasn't wrong. So if you have retroactive date or prior acts date and happened before those dates, no coverage. Now if you have pending or prior or you have continuity, the key thing is does the board has knowledge that what I just did may give rise to a claim. If the rest of the board here doesn't know that this may give rise to a claim, then you have coverage under the continuity and pending and prior. If you have knowledge of the claim, then pending and prior and continuity knocks it out. So there's no coverage at all. We got that?
Mm-hmm.
So one more time. A D&O is a claims made reported policy. The claim has to be made during that policy period from 12/1 or 1/1 to 1/1. The act itself, me being upset, occurred before that, then you've got to have prior acts coverage to pick up that claim when it comes in. As simple as that. Okay?
Makes sense.
Got that? How about you, Sherry? You understand that?
I get it, yeah. And our policy is a prior acts policy, right, Kevin?
The prior acts policy, we only exclude unknown acts.
Gotcha. Okay, so we have a prior acts policy. And Kevin, you mentioned wrongful act a few times. So why is a D&O policy called a wrongful act policy? Can you explain that?
Sure. All right, we talk about a claim under a D&O. We talk about D&O policy does. What a D&O policy does is it pays the insured for a loss for a wrongful act, as opposed to a general liability policy or your auto policy that pays you for a bodily injury or property damage. So when your auto, if there's bodily injury or property damage, that's what comes into play. Those two things. In a D&O, a claim has to be for a wrongful act. And a wrongful act is any error, the statement, the representation, any act, and it goes on and on and on. The key word there is only one word, any act. If you look at the definition of a wrongful act, it says any act, error, omission, blah, 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 it goes through this whole thing. But the reality is it's anything. You know, if I'm upset because Gabby, who's the board president, she decides to pass a rule, and I'm upset because the rule I think is unreasonable, unconstitutional, or anything, or discriminatory, I am challenging that act. If she decides that she's no longer going to fund the reserves, if she decides that she's not going to fix the roofs, whatever it is, that is a wrongful act under the policy if I've been challenging it. If I say you breach your fiduciary duty because your job is to fund the reserve, your job is to put new roofs on, those are all wrongful acts under the D&O policy. So the word wrongful act is any act itself, anything. That's why the D&O policy is so broad and so important on the day's policies.
Okay. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. Thank you
Whose
for
question was
explaining that more detail.
Fernando, okay, that was good.
Good question. Very good question. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Fernando. And now we move on to Kiana. Good afternoon, Kiana.
Hello. Hi, Sherry. How are
Hi.
you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good. Thank you for joining us today.
Yay.
And Kiana, how long have you been with the company?
8 years.
8 years. Okay. Coming up on a decade. Okay.
More years, yes.
Great. And what territory do you cover, Kiana?
I handle Illinois.
Oh, okay. The Midwest. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. The Windy City, Chicago, and that's a busy state, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Very busy state. Great.
I'm very busy.
Keeps you on your toes.
Yes, it does.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any what do you like to do in your free time, Kiana? What's your favorite thing to do?
Free time when I'm not transporting my kids around, read a book.
Read a book. Okay.
Relax.
That's nice. And there's some nice R&R, chill out.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite author? Do you have a favorite?
I do, and I can't think of not John McClane. He does the first murders and the second. Yes, John Grisham. Him. Thank you.
Oh, he's
no, not John. It's James Patterson. Sorry.
Oh, James Patterson. Okay. James Patterson.
I know. No, it's James Patterson.
Okay, he's good. He's really good. I read John Grisham. a lot.
No, he has this one character I really like. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's great. He has great books. I love to read too. Great.
Yes.
Well, Kiana, is there a particular question that comes to mind, that you'd like to ask Kevin today?
Yes. The last and final question of the day is, what is a duty to defend policy and why is it important?
Good one.
Okay, duty to defend. All right, when you buy a D&O policy, you're talking about two different things, either a duty to defend policy or a duty to indemnify policy. The duty to defend policy is the one you want. First, duty to indemnify. The duty to defend is the carrier has a right and duty to defend the entire claim. So if you have 5 causes of action, meaning that you breach of fiduciary duty, you have wrongful eviction, you have 4 or 5 different things, we defend them all. As opposed to a duty to indemnify, they will pick 2 or 3 things that they will indemnify, meaning they will pay after the claim. So a duty to indemnify is not a duty to defend because you have to have the claim has to be settled, and it has to be paid. And then they say, we'll pay 1/3 because only 1/3 of his D&O claims, the other 2/3 might be a GL, it may be uninsurable. On a duty to defend, everything gets defended. As soon as that claim comes in, the entire case gets defended, probably on a reservation of rights letter. And a reservation of rights letter, you'll see that a lot too. A reservation of rights letter means that we will defend it, but we're not sure on all the allegations that we'll uncover or not. We may come back later and stop defending, but we will provide a defense of now. Whenever there's a claim, a couple things are going to happen. We're either going to deny it straight out, and we deny it is because of some terms and conditions of the policy. We will say, yes, we'll cover it, or we reserve our right. So the reservation right letter, if people get upset because they go, oh my God, you're not going to defend it, we will defend. But we're concerned about certain allegations there. There may not be D&O claims. We will defend them until that time comes up, we find out they're not, and then we reserve our rights for those other situations. So, how's that?
Very good.
You like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for explaining that. And thank you for all the great information that you shared with us today. Thank you, underwriters. Thanks for your help. Thank you, Kevin. Thanks to the underwriters, and thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Please join us on August 25th as we talk about some exciting news regarding social engineering. Right, Kevin? We've got some big news on that.
What we're going to do is automatically include social engineering on all our crime policies, effective probably September the 1st. So we'll talk about it in a few weeks in our next webinar to really go into it to find out what it is that we're including. So if you have any questions about social engineering, tune into our webinar next month.
Great, great. Thank you very much. Thank you. That's August 25th. And if anybody would like a copy of today's presentation, please send me an email to sbranson@kdins.com. And I just wanted to mention you can listen to all of our webinars either on our YouTube station or you can go on our homepage on our website at kdisonline.com. And we'll have today's webinar and all of our past webinars as well. Thanks, everybody. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks a lot.
Bye. Take care.